Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, I am absolutely thrilled you're joining us today because we're going to unpack something truly fascinating. If you've ever walked past a screen playing a brightly colored children's cartoon and thought it was just, silly noise, you might want to look a little closer. Today, we are uncovering the hidden curriculum of children's digital media. We're going to look directly at the source material, the actual shows and rhymes that millions of kids are consuming right now, to reveal the surprisingly deep, highly structured life lessons woven right into the entertainment. Beneath all those singing animals and animated adventures, there is a literal masterclass in human development happening. All right, let's just dive right into the agenda. We're breaking this down into 4 distinct themes. First up, lessons in physical health. Then, navigating those really complex, big emotions. After that, we'll look at teamwork in grand adventures. And finally, modern real-world safety. So starting off with Section 1, lessons in physical health, focusing specifically on doctors and accidents. For a young child, the whole idea of getting sick or getting hurt or, going to a hospital, it can be this absolutely terrifying, vast unknown, right? So how does modern media handle this? Well, check out this timeline. It's pulled directly from a wildly popular Hindi nursery rhyme by Zappy Tunes. It goes through the days of the week, and literally every single day a different family member gets sick. Tuesday, mom is sick. The doctor comes, treats her, she feels great. Wednesday, dad's sick. Doctor comes, treats him, he's great. Thursday, it's the brother's turn. It sounds super repetitive to us, but that repetition is exactly the point. It uses this really simple chronological structure to normalize illness. And actually, more importantly, it establishes the doctor as the super reliable, helpful person who just shows up every day to fix things. And here is another brilliant tactic they use, using humor to completely diffuse that fear. This quote is straight out of Peppa Pig. Grandpa Pig has to go to the hospital, and how does he get hurt? He literally drops a giant, heavy boat anchor on his foot. I mean, the sheer absurdity of it turns a scary accident into a total joke. And when he gets to the hospital, he doesn't want to be there, obviously, but the doctors use an X-ray machine. They don't frame it as scary medical equipment, though. They call it a magic thing that shows your inside bones. He even ends up having what they call a hospital sleepover, complete with tomato soup and sticky talkie pudding. So, the real takeaway from this first section is this. In these digital worlds, medical care is very intentionally framed as a normal, non-scary, and honestly sometimes just silly part of everyday life. These foundational stories, they aren't just there to entertain. They are strategically building a baseline of comfort and trust in medical professionals way before a child ever sets foot in an actual clinic. Okay, moving right along to Section 2, navigating complex, big emotions, specifically looking at jealousy and regret. Shifting from the physical world to the inner world, it is absolutely mind-blowing how modern kids' media tackles these incredibly sophisticated psychological struggles. I mean, things adults have a hard time putting into words. Take a look at this comparison from an Eli Kids song. It's all about a toddler reacting to a brand new sibling. Before the baby, the older kid remembers doing everything with mom and dad. They were the literal center of the universe. But after the baby arrives, the song perfectly captures that sudden, really jarring feeling of invisibility. The older child actually sings about wanting to transform into tiny specks of light just so their parents will chase after them again. Wow, that is such a deeply visceral, almost poetic expression of sibling jealousy and the loss of attention. It completely validates those super messy feelings. Which brings us to another massive emotional hurdle. Take a look at the question here. How do we teach kids to actually admit their mistakes? Because, let's be real, it's one thing to mumble, "I'm sorry," but it is an entirely different beast to truly feel and express accountability. There's this story from the Goo Goo Gaga Penguin universe that tackles this head-on. Basically, a character named Masha deliberately smashes her friend's absolute favorite strawberry jam in a fit of emotion. Now, what's super interesting about how they handle this is how the show breaks Masha's emotional journey down into clear, actionable steps. It doesn't just cut straight to an apology. No, first, Masha has to confront the actual physical consequence, the broken jam on the floor. Then, she has to witness her friend being genuinely upset, really acknowledging the hurt she caused. She doesn't make excuses, she takes full responsibility, literally crying out, "What have I done?" And only then does she ask for forgiveness and promise to change her behavior. It's a complete, emotionally mature cycle of remorse modeled absolutely perfectly for a toddler audience. All right, on to Section 3, teamwork in grand adventures with a focus on problem solving.
So once kids start understanding their own bodies and their own emotions, they have to figure out how to interact with the big, wide world around them. And these shows, they love to put characters in situations where they have to work collaboratively to overcome these massive, seemingly impossible external obstacles. For example, we looked at a Hindi children's adventure story featuring these two characters, Tamatar and Bindi, and we mapped out their rescue mission. Bindi's family treasure is hidden, but the map got tossed into the ocean. Notice how highly procedural their solution is. Step 1. They don't just magically sprout wings and fly. They physically have to build an airplane, verbally checking that the frame is strong and the joints are tight. Step 2. They fly over a freezing ocean, making sure to pack tracksuits and ropes. Step 3. Braving the cold water to dive down for the map. And Step 4. Navigating this terrifying super tight tunnel full of puzzles.
Beneath that whole cute, colorful cartoon exterior of building planes and exploring jungles, these stories are secretly teaching structured problem solving. These grand adventures basically act as a masterclass in breaking down huge, intimidating challenges into manageable, step-by-step teamwork. It's telling kids, hey, no problem is too big if you have a plan, the right tools, and a buddy to help you tighten the bolts. I mean, it is essentially project management and resilience training, but for preschoolers. And finally, that brings us to Section 4, Modern Real-World Safety, where we are going to dive into food and cybersecurity. Listen, gone are the days when kids' shows only warned you to look both ways before crossing the street. Today's crucial survival points are perfectly captured in this Sheriff Labrador cartoon. In this one episode, an entire town gets sick from eating ice cream, but the kitchen is completely sparkling clean. So what's the mystery? Improper food storage. Just look at the specific rules this show explicitly explains. It covers cross-contamination, teaching that raw foods have to be stored on low shelves and cooked foods up high so germs don't drip down. It teaches odor control. You've got to keep smelly things like onions sealed tightly away from delicate foods like strawberries. This goes way, way beyond just reminding kids to wash their hands. But the safety lessons certainly don't stop at the refrigerator door. They extend straight into the digital realm. The exact same show tackles a genuinely terrifying modern concept, digital impersonation. As you can see defined here, that's when a bad actor pretends to be a trusted authority figure, like a cop or a teacher, online or in person, just to deceive you. In this brilliantly tense storyline, a villain named Antel impersonates the town's beloved sheriff, and later on, he even infiltrates a school's digital group chat by pretending to be the teacher. The show establishes what we're calling the Sheriff Labrador Protocol, and it is honestly incredibly savvy. It teaches kids a hard truth. Bad people can wear trusted uniforms. A uniform does not guarantee safety. It warns them that imposters can actually digitally hijack their school group chats. It even shows how the villain tried to trick a kid by offering a super specific food, a spicy seaweed burger. But the trick failed because the real parents knew their kid absolutely hated spicy food. The ultimate lesson they drill home: always verify strange messages or situations with a trusted adult. Oh, and spoiler alert for this episode, the real police actually end up relying on a fruit seller and a street sweeper, who turn out to be undercover kung fu masters to save the day. So, they keep the heavy safety lesson highly entertaining. Which leaves us with this final, really important thought. We carefully monitor screen time, right? And we usually know exactly which characters our kids are watching. But as we've explored today, from the raw complexities of sibling rivalry and learning how to give a profound apology, all the way to the strict nuances of food storage and cybersecurity, do we truly realize what they are actually learning? Next time you hear a bouncy nursery rhyme playing in the background, or you see a little cartoon animal building an airplane, pay attention. The curriculum is hidden right there in plain sight, and it is honestly far more sophisticated than we ever gave it credit for. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and definitely keep your eyes open.